Welcome to the Thrive Mindset Podcast, where manifesting your dreams isn't magic, it's momentum. I'm your host, Carrie Dahle, entrepreneur, author, and manifestation coach, and I'm here to help you stop holding yourself back and start building the life you've been craving. Each week, I'll share real stories, practical tools, and powerful mindset shifts to help you reframe the negative, embrace gratitude, and take aligned action toward your goals. If you're ready to up-level your life, your relationships, your success, then this is your place. Let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome back to the Thrive Mindset Podcast. I want to start today with something that might surprise you, or maybe it will feel like a sigh of relief. You are already manifesting. Not someday, not when you get clear, and not when you finally say it's time to do it right. You're doing it right now. The life you're living, your routines, your stress level, your relationships, your bank account, your health, your calendar, that is all a result of manifestations already in motion. And before you panic or start to mentally begin listing everything you want to fix, let me say this really, really clearly. This is not a podcast about blame. This is really about power. Because let's think about it for a minute. If you're already manifesting, then nothing's broken. You're not behind. You don't need this personality change or this 5 a.m. miracle routine. You just need intention. So today, we're going to talk about the difference between manifesting by default and manifesting by design, and how to gently and realistically and sustainably shift into the second one, because we want to be manifesting by design. We want to be manifesting the things that we want, not manifesting things that aren't so great, which is probably what a lot of us are doing. So most people think that manifestation is something you start doing. Like, I'm going to try manifesting. I'm learning to manifest. I want to get better at manifesting. These are things that I hear all the time. But manifestation, it isn't a switch you flip on. It's a system that's always running. Your thoughts, your habits, your self-talk, your reflections, your expectations. These are all inputs. They are all telling the universe exactly what it is you want. And life is the output. So if you've been thinking, why do I keep attracting the same situations? Or why does it feel like I'm stuck? Well, the answer usually isn't you're bad at manifesting. It's that you're manifesting unconsciously, that you're focusing on the same beliefs, that you have the same patterns, that you're giving the same emotional responses. And listen, that is human. We're wired for familiarity and not transformation. But here's the great part. Nothing changes until we're aware. And once awareness shows up, well, that's the doorway to everything. So don't look at this moment as, well, shit. I've been bringing this all upon myself. I mean, you have, and that's a bummer, right? In many ways. But you haven't been doing it on purpose. You haven't been purposely saying, bring me this, bring me that. You just have been doing it unconsciously. You've been doing it without even knowing it. And we're going to change that. We're going to change those behaviors. We're going to change those thoughts. We're going to make you aware of it so that you can bring the better things to yourself.
This episode of the Thrive Mindset podcast is brought to you by the Scott Lewis Group at John L. Scott Real Estate. Buying or selling a home is more than just a transaction. It's your move. It's your next chapter. And we're here to make sure that your move is remarkable. We know this market inside and out, and we care deeply about helping you find more than just a house. We want you to find the place where your life truly thrives. Whether you're stepping into your first home, upgrading to something new, or starting something fresh, you deserve more than ordinary. With the Scott Lewis Group, it's your move. Let's make it remarkable.
Let's talk about what manifesting by default actually looks like, because this is where most people live, even the motivated ones. Manifesting by default sounds like, I'll feel better once things calm down. I don't have time right now. This just is how it is. I'll start when right? It also looks like saying you want change, but then keeping the same calendar, right? Doing the same thing over and over. Or wanting more energy, but never resting. I just got an Oura ring. And interestingly, I was really curious to see what my rest would look like. And I've actually been really surprised to see that I get really good rest, which is great. Jeff and I have made a few switches lately. I've been wearing earplugs, which I think is huge for helping me sleep because I'm a light sleeper and noises wake me up. But I had this feeling that sugar affected my sleep, but I didn't know until last night for sure. And I don't eat sugar very often. Before we'd gotten the ring, I mean, it's been the holidays and I've had sugar a couple times. And on those nights, I just knew I wasn't sleeping as well. And last night, I had a little bit, I actually still, Jeff always puts certain candies in my stocking and I can make those last for months because, again, I don't eat a lot of it. But last night, I was watching a TV show and I took a handful of peanut butter M&Ms while I was watching the show. And I ate those and then I went to bed. Now my sleep score is good, but interestingly enough, my readiness score was low. And it was because I didn't, like, my body felt stress overnight. It was reacting like it was stressed, like it was working hard. I didn't get into like a restful breath or that type of thing until later into the night. And I'm sure it was the candy. I'm sure it was like my body was working harder because of the sugar in my bloodstream. And I'm curious because I won't have sugar again for who knows how many more days or whatever. I'm going to play with it again and see if that's really what it is. But again, what we're focusing on here is that when we're wanting more energy, more rest, and we're not making the changes, the same idea, right? With my Oura ring, it'd be like me noticing that sugar is impacting my energy and me never doing anything about it, right? If I just kept eating sugar every day. Another thing that manifesting by default can look like is me wanting abundance, but constantly focusing on that I'm missing it, or me wanting confidence, but talking to myself like a critic, right? Constantly telling myself that I don't look good, or I'm overweight, or I'm not good enough. And we've talked about that one before too, right? We've talked about that I'm not good enough theme has been a theme throughout my entire life, right? And if I allow that story to run in my head, well, that's what I'm manifesting. I'm manifesting that lack of confidence. And again, there's no shame here. I just want you to hear what manifesting by default looks like, because these are learned behaviors. And if you don't learn to identify these things, well, then you're not going to learn how to correct them. And you're not going to learn how to manifest with intention. We inherit these beliefs from our family and our culture and our past experiences. And we reinforce them through repetition. And then one day we wake up and think, how did I get here? You didn't fail. You just followed the pattern. Manifesting by default is simply living in autopilot. And autopilot, it isn't evil. It's just not creative. Now let's talk about the shift, because this is where everything gets exciting. Manifesting by design doesn't mean that you control every outcome. It means that you are taking responsibility for the influence. You are asking better questions. So instead of why isn't this working, you are going to ask yourself, what am I practicing believing? Instead of why do I feel stuck? You're going to ask yourself, what feels familiar about this? Instead of what do I need to do? Maybe ask, who do I need to become? This is where manifestation becomes grounded, because the universe doesn't respond to wishful thinking. What it does respond to is consistency. It responds to these small decisions, these daily habits, and these repeated thoughts. And manifestation is less about vision boards, even though those are huge at helping keep our eye on the ball, right? And our eye on where we're headed. But it responds more about our alignment with those visions, right? It responds more about our words and our actions and our alignment with those visions. So, are your actions matching what you say you want? Are your words, are your intentions all in alignment? Is your inner dialogue supporting your future self? Or are you protecting the past? And that's the work. That's the things that we have to work on to change and to manifest with and by design. If someone asks me how I know what I'm manifesting, I'd say look in 3 places. Number 1, check your calendar. What you make time for is what you believe matters. Not what you say matters, but what you schedule. So, if your dreams never make it into your calendar, they're just ideas. I promise you that my calendar is filled with real estate things. And why? Because real estate is a big part of my life. It is part of what I manifest on a daily basis. It is part of what I work really hard for on my team. It is part of the 10 things I manifest on an annual basis. And it is in my calendar. Writing is in my calendar. My podcast is in my calendar. All 10 of the items that are in my gratitude journal, they're in my calendar. Why? Because they're important to me. Otherwise, they're just ideas. Even learning French is in my calendar. My husband's in my calendar. Because even that, I am manifesting a better relationship with him all the time. He's important to me. All right. The second thing that you need to look at is your self-talk. This is a hard one. But your internal language is shaping your nervous system. Are you encouraging yourself or constantly bracing for disappointment? Your brain believes repetition, not inspiration. Inspiration is good. Inspiration gives you ideas. Inspiration excites you, right? But your brain believes what you're telling yourself about you. And if you are constantly talking bad about yourself to yourself, that is what your brain is going to believe. If you are trying to manifest weight loss, let's just say, or your health, and you are constantly on yourself about not doing well at it, or that you look horrible, or that you can't do this, or that you struggle, or whatever it is, you are not going to be successful because your brain is telling you you can't do it because it believes that repetition. You have to find a way to encourage yourself. You have to speak to yourself like your best friend, or you have to speak to yourself like you're speaking to your child. You have to work on your self-talk. So check in on how you talk to yourself. Go back to the sticky notes, go back to writing in your mirror, go back to whatever it is to encourage yourself to speak well to yourself. And when you catch yourself speaking badly, or when you catch yourself in that negative self-talk, just stop. Just stop. Acknowledge it because you're going to do it, but acknowledge it, catch it, and start again. The more you practice reminding yourself that you're beautiful and you are kind and you are smart and you are so much more, the more good you're going to manifest. And the third thing, your reactions. Your reactions reveal your expectations. Do you assume things will work out or that something will go wrong? Think about that. What do you expect? This is a really good one. If you are listening to this, real estate, anything in sales, in business, anything in business, that you are often dealing with clients and things can go one way or another. Transactions, law, whatever. I mean, just in my world is real estate. And it's so funny because, with real estate, you've got a long way from opening escrow to close of escrow. And a lot of things can happen. But I often will hear other brokers talk about the fact that they don't count on the transaction closing till the end. And I think, why is that? Why do you expect it to not go to the end? because I expect it to close. I don't expect it to go wrong. I expect it to close. And it's interesting how many don't expect it to close. That's an interesting mindset, right? Their expectation is it not to go right. So think about that. Why is your expectation of it to not go right? Why in life do you expect things to go wrong? For me, I rarely expect things to go wrong. When I have that feeling of something went wrong, I have to wonder why. Because the majority of the time in my life, I expect everything to go well. So think about that. Think about it in your own world. What is your expectation? Because expectation is manifestation in motion. And this isn't about being positive all the time. It's just about being intentional. Think about that. Okay, so how do you start manifesting on purpose? And let's make this really practical. You don't need a massive overhaul. You need one conscious shift. And here, I think, are a few points that you can start with. I would start with naming what you're already creating without judgment, just awareness, good and bad. List out the things that you are already manifesting in your life. And then choose one identity to practice, not a goal, an identity. And I mean an identity like calm, confident, committed, grounded, expansive, an identity about yourself. Choose one that you can practice and work on to better in yourself. And then choose to take one aligned action every day towards something you're creating. Something small, but something powerful. Because momentum loves consistency. And when you can start working on just a little bit every day, working on yourself, right? So working on who you are with your calmness or your confidence or your commitment or whatever it is about yourself, but then also taking a small action towards your goals, that's going to create momentum. And that's going to create purpose. And that's going to create movement. And you're going to see that you're going to begin manifesting with purpose. All right, here's what I want you to take with you today. You're not waiting for manifestation to begin. It already has. Your job isn't to force outcome. It is to simply align your energy, your choices, and your beliefs with the life you want to live. And the moment you do that on purpose, everything will start to shift. Not overnight, but steadily. And in a way that actually lasts. Because you're already manifesting. Now you just get to decide, are you doing it by accident or by design? And if this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, share it with someone who needs it, like it, subscribe, and above all else, remember that I believe in you, and you can manifest the life of your dreams.